Chapter 24. Rosalind, what are you doing? It hurts. When Rosalind stepped out after changing, she was shocked to discover that her brother had a band-aid on his body and a bandage on his back. She couldn't help but impulsively reach out and give him a slap on the shoulder. Emmanuel was a living, breathing human being, and it was only natural for him to cry out in anguish when he was unexpectedly struck by sudden pain. Alessandra had been engrossed in matters regarding her daughter-in-law and paid no attention to her son. Belatedly realizing he had been concealing his injuries, she asked anxiously, "Manny, how did you get hurt?" Not wanting his family to worry, Emmanuel lied, "Don't worry, Mom. I accidentally fell down, that's all." Fell down? This is a lie. You obviously got hurt. Did someone hit you or throw something at you? Rosalind snapped. Her voice grew increasingly agitated as she demanded, "Manny, be honest with me. Did your wife beat you? Is this domestic violence?" Emmanuel nearly coughed out blood in exasperation. He quickly replied, "Rosalind, how could you think that way about my wife? This has nothing to do with her." He couldn't bring himself to say that Mackenzie hadn't hit him, since she had quite obviously kicked him twice. His waist was still aching as a result. "Manny, be honest with me. How did you get hurt?" Emmanuel was Alessandra's only son, so she was determined to get to the bottom of things. She was afraid that her son's stubborn pride would prevent him from confiding in her. "Some scoundrels tried to take advantage of Mackenzie, so I fought with them and ended up getting hurt," Emmanuel explained. He wasn't entirely fabricating the story, as the ruffians were indeed stirring up trouble on Mackenzie's project. She was the reason he had to fight them. "Oh, I see. Good job, Manny. I love that you're so protective of your wife." Rosalind relaxed and gave him the thumbs up. After all, the male leads in TV dramas were all manly. "It's almost time, Rosalind. Let's go." Emmanuel didn't want to hear his mother's nagging and instantly changed the topic by urging Rosalind to leave. Alessandra grabbed his arm and said, "Manny, remember to find Rosalind a good man at the party. He doesn't have to be rich as long as he's a person of integrity." A mother knew her daughter best. Naturally, Alessandra knew why Rosalind was still single and unmarried despite being in her 30s. Before arranging blind dates for Emmanuel, she had already introduced a lot of men to Rosalind. Alas, Rosalind was harsh in her criticism of all those men, declaring that none of them measured up to the male leads of her favorite television shows. She said they were either too short, too ugly, or too meek. Naturally, all those men were scared out of their wits and quickly made their escape. If she was unwilling to be flexible and open to different possibilities, she would never get married, ever. "Got it, Mom," Emmanuel hastily replied. Finding Rosalind a suitable husband would be a more difficult task than finding me a wife. The siblings hailed a taxi and went on their way. Throughout the journey, Rosalind was already swooning over the possible eligible bachelors at the party. "Manny, have you heard of the 4 prominent families in Yeringham?" "Yeah." Emmanuel nodded and gave a cursory reply, but he knew that the 4 prominent families of Yeringham didn't exist. This was not a television show, so it was impossible to determine the number of families in Yeringham that were involved in commerce.